Hey everyone, and welcome back. It's been a minute since I put a video out, and today we're going to be doing a review on my first perfect grade. We're doing it over the perfect grade Strike Gundam. So let's get into this. Alright, par for the course, we'll start off with the accessories here, which he doesn't really come with too terribly much, but they are pretty nice. And you see here, we got his typical beam rifle. Only moving part on it is the foregrip here, and it does come with a separate clear blue piece here for the lens. Now it does have a seam line that you can see running across the bottom here all the way through, but on the top it has separate pieces, a couple pieces here that snap down on top of it, which cover it on the top, but you do still have a little bit here on the front iron sights and across the barrel right here. But overall it's not bad. I like the detail because the separate piece sliding over the top, you got the little bit of depth detail to it all. Got nice detail, and it's fairly simple. It's not overdone or anything like that. And then of course we do have the shield, which is pretty massive, as you can see next to the RX-78 there, the Beyond Global. It's a lot bigger than he is. But it's got some nice good detail, multi-layer. These are all different separate colored parts. The back is all white, but you can tape that off your painting and spray that with some gray or whatever color you might want to use, or just getting some panel lining on here would bring out a lot of the detail on there, because there's a lot of nice detail on the back of this. And of course you do have an adjustable grip here, which holds position pretty well, so you don't have to worry about that just flopping around on you or anything. Of course, position that as well, put that in his hand, and it attaches onto the back of the forearm, which I'll show y'all probably during the articulation, because this guy is big and it's going to be fun trying to keep him in frame anyways. But I do only have one complaint, and I don't know if this is typical with this kit, but on the part here where this part connects to the back of the forearm, then here to the shield where all this rotates, is right there. It's very loose, and actually now that I think about it, I might have a way to fix that. One moment. Alright, so I got this bit of the shield taken off and separated, and I happen to have some O-rings here from my computer, or not my computer, well, part of my computer, my keyboard that I've been building, but we're going to try one of these on here and see if they'll tighten that up nicely, or if they'll even actually fit, and give it a whirl. This could be a colossal waste of my time, but we'll find out. There we go. So I'm assuming I probably just maybe fit it on here, and then maybe I can snap it in, and that will tighten that up. Oh, that went in the wrong spot. Don't do that. Get my... There we go. And... oh, did it go? Yeah, it goes this way. I don't think this is gonna work. Yeah, no, that's just squishing that. So we'll probably just edit this part out of the video. Anyways, we'll snap this back together. But yeah, you can see here where the it's a little loose right there on that connection. It swings around. Now when I do have it on the arm, as long as I put the hand here, of course in the foregrip, that's not an issue. But when I get ready to finally paint and do work on this, I'm gonna figure out some way I'm gonna tighten that up one way or another. But that's the only complaint that I've had with this kit so far, and it's probably just mine, because I doubt there's been a regular amount of issue with that. But of course that swivels all around so you can get any position you need, and it also has, you see here, it's a little gray switch. You can open up the visor there. It's got a clear piece right in there, so you can see through there. Let me see if I can get the switch there and pop it back up, just like so. But this has some great detail. The only seam line on this is right here on the tip of the yellow here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it here on the camera, but right there, because that's just another bottom piece sandwiched on right there, which that would be a very easy seam line to remove. No issue there on that at all. Alright, then also we have two of these switchblades here. The other one is stored in the side skirts, where you can store both of these. The sides open up, which I'll show you that when we get into articulation as well. Well, these are a neat little weapon. It's not something you really see a solid, melee weapon like this, especially from this type of Gundam. They're a regular occurrence in IBO, the melee type of weapons, but a little different for this guy, and I actually kind of like these quite a bit. And they fold up nicely like that, and you just tuck them away in the side skirts. And of course you do have the little pilot figure here, and please do not crucify me for this. I have no idea what this pilot figure or pilot's name is for this Gundam, because I'll be honest, I have not watched Seed yet, and I do plan on it. It's just I don't have much time. But you do have the standing guy here, which he doesn't have a base on there to help stand him up, but I haven't had much issue standing him up. He stays right there for the most part. And then, of course, you have this, I believe is referred to as the Grand Slam. This thing is freaking huge. And what's funny is it also folds up, which I don't understand the whole aspect of folding it up, because it's still freaking huge. And you can't store it anywhere on the kit is also one drawback to this. But that does swing around, and the silver coating on this, the chrome plating on this is nice. It's been pretty even. You can see where it, back here on the tip there is one of the nub marks, which can't be helped on this. And I think the other one is down, kind of down here, hidden in the grip down here, so you don't really see it much. But also the handle here can slide up and down, so you can adjust that to however you might want, depending on how you have this thing positioned or him holding it. And you can see here on the handle, the little square slots here is for the peg in the hand. That way you can get a good grip on it and it shouldn't really go anywhere on you. And then the last accessory, well actually not the last, but it does come with the LED unit. And it doesn't come with a battery though. So I will warn you about that. Make sure you have a battery for it. It takes a CR1220. But I do have a complaint about this as well, because I made sure I ordered and had a battery for this thing before I even was going to do the review or start filming, and I've taken this thing apart 5 or 6 times and I cannot get it to work for nothing. Won't light up or anything, and this is a brand new fresh battery. So that is a drawback there, but I have some Evans design LED lights which I'll be putting in this myself, so that's not too big of a loss for me. But for people that straight build and all that, they really should make sure these are something that are much more reliable, because I mean, not everybody's gonna be willing or have the know-how to wire up their own LEDs inside the head of this guy or anything like that. So, and I have heard complaints that these are rather unreliable from Bandai, and I think they really should decide or try to make a better version of this, something much more reliable, which that is disappointing for me. But then of course, last but not least, you always have, oh, I wonder whether that's knocked off on the floor. Anyways, the inedible sticker sheet. Now, personally, I mean, this is my first perfect grade. I don't know much about them really at all, but I would think, you know, the Verkovs come with a water slide decal sheet, and I would think these would too, because I mean, really, the stickers, unless you take time and really cut out right along every little edge on these, you're gonna see the outline of the sticker. Not so much on the white, but any of the other colors on the kit. And I've never been a fan of these. I always avoid them, and that's also why I've already ordered and got some of the water slide decals for me for this kit. So, but these are in there if you'd like to use them. The white, it shouldn't be an issue, shouldn't be much of a problem. The borders of it shouldn't show up much on there for you. But when it comes like to the blue and red and things like that, it will be a different story when it comes to those darker colors. But for accessories, that's pretty much all he's got. Like I said, a pretty simple loadout. He doesn't come with an action base or anything. The Sky Grasper, which is another, basically like another part of this kit, is a PG as well, which I do have, and we'll be doing a review on that before long as well. It comes with the action base for this guy, but we'll show you that later on, of course, when I do the review on that. But now let's get to the articulation of this guy and all the moving bits and bobs he's got. Alright, now before we get into the articulation and everything, if you haven't noticed already, for a size comparison, I have the Beyond Global RX-78 here, the high grade, so you can kind of see. And I knew this kit was going to be a large kit when I first started, but I didn't realize how big they actually were, this being my first perfect grade and everything. And from my understanding, like the unicorn and things are much larger perfect grades, so just kind of giving you a heads up depending on if you're planning on picking one up. But we'll go and get into the articulation here, and I'm not sure how I want to go about this. Let's see. I need a better lens for this sort of stuff. I think I know what I'm going to do. One moment. Now here, of course, we'll start from the head up, or head down actually. is part of the course. But first, I'll show you the back of the head here. This is where the LED unit you'll install it, so the back armor piece slides off really easy. Got a clear bluish green piece there for that nice detail. This kit does have pretty much perfect part separation and everything, color separation. And you also have a little bit of the inner frame here, which you'll pop off as well. A little piece there. And this is where the non-functioning LED light slides in. Slides in like so. And easy enough, and then you're able to put the other pieces back on there and hold it all in place. Really wish that worked. But let me get this out of here. Thing's a bit of a tight fit. Come here. Oh, jeez. There. Now, if you're wanting to do LEDs, your own LEDs in this, in case the unit that it comes with is not bright enough for you or just doesn't seem to work like mine, you see a little opening down in there, and you see that little kind of clear pieces of stuff in there, so it'd be pretty easy to actually wire your own LEDs into this, or buy an aftermarket one or something like that. But if you want to do LEDs for the first time, this would be a good one to start on, something like that. Just real simple, straightforward. Just leave the included LED unit out and just wire your own stuff up in there. Alright, now on to the articulation. Now the head up, it's about as far up as he's gonna go. He's just blocked a little bit by the collar here on the back of his head. And of course you can see all the way down right about there. So it's pretty decent. And it's got a few moving joints, of course up in here, the couple of joints there in the ball joint, and then at the base of the neck it hinges back and forth. Now for the shoulders here, there are expansion sets for this kit, and there's the Buster sword? Well, there's a sword and a rocket launcher basically that come with it. Forgive me for not knowing what they're called exactly. But you basically open these up and slide out this little bit of armor. And you see a spot right there where they'll peg into. And if you don't have them in there, you don't have to worry about having that open gap there all the time. It does have these little pieces right here that slot in there to cover those up if you do not have those installed. But you put those in there and then you'll close those up like that and hold those in there. Also, the front and back of the shoulder open up like this. So some of these kind of want to be a little loose, but it's real simple. You can put a drop of glue up in there and that'll hold that in place, but these ones seem to be holding on pretty well. There's a nice bit of detail in here. Of course you have this nice bit right here that's poking out through the armor plating and everything, which this thing has little bits and pieces sticking out all over. It's really nice. Yeah, both sides will open up, front and back, so you can do any detail work you want in there and make it look pretty. Have it on your shelf on display with everything opened up, because both shoulders will do the same. And the chest here also slides open. Both sides will do like that, which they are a little stiff, but at least they won't be flopping around on you. And I don't know if that's like for add-on pack or something, I'm not sure to be honest, but this is another little neat detail that has there. And for the arm, right up in here has a pivot point, as you can see. And the joints are somewhat stiff on this, but not in a bad way, I would say. Because they're stiff, but they're also, the joint connections and stuff, of course, are a lot bigger. The pegs and everything, and the sockets are a lot beefier, because it is obviously a much larger kit. But you can get the arm up to there, so that's pretty good. And as you can see, the shoulder armor does as well move on its own independently. Oh, and there's also this little bit of a vernier down up underneath here that you have as well. They'll pivot in and out. And the upper arm, of course, has rotation at the top of the bicep. And this is really neat. The armor up here on the top of the arm separates as you bend the elbow here. And usually you only see something like that, like maybe on some master grades on the thigh armor, they'll separate like that. But it's really nice that they have that on here on the upper arm itself, so I thought that was really neat. And you can see some of the color separation. Hopefully my camera's able to pick it up, where this is some of that kind of light gray right in through here, and then white. And there's a little bit more grayish here and down through here than white and stuff, so the color separation is pretty nice. It's very subtle, and I hope you can see it on the camera, but it's really nice looking. And of course you see that there was a double bend in that elbow, which of course will get you all the way up to there. And you have a little bit more down here at the bottom of the elbow here, some rotations for a little bit of extra play. Those have a little bit of give to them because they have a little bit of a rubber sort of polycap in there that gives them a little bit of stretch so they can move a little bit for you, so you're not actually worried about breaking those when you do that. And also for the arm, down here on the forearm, it will pivot right in through there, give you a little extra play as well. And then also another spot right here as well. Now for the wrist, it's a typical ball joint, of course. Those seem to really never fail on us. And these have the fully posable hands, so you can get these fingers and everything in just about any gesture you want. And don't worry, I'm not cliche, I'm not going to do the typical flipping the bird deal. And then of course in there you can see the peg that is used to hide or hold on to the armaments and everything, and sword and stuff. Oops, looks like I've worked that shoulder out a little bit. Alright, and now also for the back, it kind of works like the shoulder did here for those parts, for the add-on parts, but this is for the shield. You'll pop that little bit up right there, and then that will swing out. And then you can take the shield here, and the little peg right there will peg into the back of the arm, like so. If I can line it up here. It's always fun doing stuff behind camera. Then you simply just close that up and snap that one down, and your shield isn't going anywhere. That holds on there really good. Don't mind the loose swivel on mine. That's something I need to fix. I doubt that's like that on all the kits. But if it is, and you happen to have the same issue with the shield, put a comment down in the section so other people will know. But that holds really nicely. And just pop that back up and swing that out, and then you just pop the shield right back off. And now for the chest here, there is an opening cockpit. We'll open the lower part here, and then you can grab this upper part, like so, and they'll slide out, and then this will swing up, and you can see your pilot seated down in there. Which I think the pilots for this perfect grade I think are actually big enough that I'm going to try and paint this one myself. We'll see how horrible it turns out, but this will be my first time I'm going to probably try and paint an actual figure. But to close it up, you swing that back around, slide that up in there, and close the chest up like so. And I think that's pretty much it for the upper body articulation. Trying to make sure I don't miss anything, because there are a lot of different bits and bobs to this guy. I think that's it for the most part, so we'll move on to the lower half. Alright, now for the lower half of this guy. You have the side skirts and everything, and here, if you can see, this whole section right in through here, the whole part kind of pivots up and down, giving you a little more play for the skirting. And then of course you have a dual joint part like right up in here for the front skirting, which has very nice detail up and underneath it. So you have plenty of chance to do some detail painting and everything like that, make that look real nice if that's your deal. And then of course the side skirts, they have a double point ball joint right there and a hinge up in there. So they have plenty of movement and still some nice detail all up in there. And this here is also where you store those switchblades. They just drop down in there and you can close that up and they store in there just fine. Back skirt as well, pretty much like the front skirt armor, has a bit of a dual point in there, ball joint stuff, swing them around, nice detail as well. And then here we have the, if I can get it open, connection point for the rifle, which I don't think earlier I showed there's a little peg point here that will flip out, so you can store this on the back skirting armor back there, and that holds on there pretty good. Ain't gonna go nowhere on you. Now for the legs and everything, it's kind of folding this stuff up and out of the way. Now if you see up here in that little gray piece right in there, that is a die cast you have for the hip joints, so that's pretty nice, pretty sturdy and everything, holding everything together. But you can bring the legs all the way out to the side like that, so that's definitely not an issue. We got front, so that's pretty good. Now let's see how far we can bring it up, because there's this hip joint here. You can snap this down. See, that little part right there will swing down, and then you can swing the whole hip forward, and that gives you a little bit more towards the front kick there. Well, you can barely keep them in frame, so that's pretty good. And if you want to, you can drop that hip back into place and snap that up there. Now lock that in place so it doesn't go moving around on you. Now down through here, there's some more of the nice, layering of all the different parts and armor parts, which is one thing that's really nice about this kit. because you can see them everywhere, you know, like up here on the front skirts, you know, didn't point that out earlier, but a bit of the inner frame poking out up through here. But you can see here where it's gapped and got a nice layer. And like I mentioned earlier with the master grades, how the skirting armor will separate like that upper arm did. You can bring that up and that whole section of the leg just splits and separates, and all those little layered parts just move, spread apart, which would be really fun. You get nice detail off in there. Everything looks really great. And you can see how the knee separates into two separate pieces here as well. So that looks really good. There's also a bit of a piston work up in here. As you can see when you bring the leg up and down, how all that just separates and works its way out. Bring that all back up. And now these side parts here on the outer and inner part of the calf here will open up, but they are, at least on mine, really tight, so trying to get these suckers open is a job in itself. There we go. And it gives you a little extra hatch that pops open there. Got some more bit of detail in there if you want to paint that up and show that off. But I will say, as you just seen, that I had to use a tool to get that open. If you plan on painting this and showcasing it like with all the panels opened up and everything like that, when you go to put this all back together and build it again, make sure you have that open like that when you put it together, because if not, you're probably going to scratch and tear up your paint when you're trying to get that sucker open. Because like I said, it snaps down up in there and then down inside that lip, so you can't really get a grip around the edge of it because it snaps down in there like so. But inner and outer on both legs, of course, will open up like that. Now also here you can see these piston sort of area. There's one on the inside and outside of the leg, but they flex with the foot as you move it side to side. So another nice little point of articulation is pretty neat to see. And also here on the back of the leg, there's a little part that moves out, but also helping that to move out. A little bit of a vernier vent area there. But if you have it closed, it will lock the, if I have it in there all the way, it'll lock that leg back in place in here. But if you have it open, it'll let you bring that all the way up. And as you can see here, this front and back armor here as well slide up and down with the movement of the foot. And I just love how all these little parts, just simple little things move and everything, and the bits of the inner frame and detail that are all poking out. But we'll put that back in place. And also you have a little bit of a ankle armor back here that moves a little bit, front and back. If you notice, there's some chrome parts up in here, chrome plated, like for some of the pistons. I don't know if you can get a good view of that, right up in there. And there's some also on the front of the foot here as well. And they're functioning and everything, which is pretty neat. But let's see here, so we'll go ahead and get a full articulation of his foot. So that's the foot down with the vents open, so you have that part unlocked so it'll all move. The foot forward, so no complaints about any of that at all. Now there isn't a toe bend down, but there is a toe bend up, as you can see there. But I do want to point out, if you're on another aspect, if you're going to paint this kit, is right here, this corner part of the white here, the front of the foot, that gray bit right in there, the inner frame, it rubs up against that. And I don't know if that's on purpose, kind of give it a bit of a catch to help with the stability of the foot if you have it standing up. But if you're going to paint and maybe move that foot around a bit or anything like that, where it's rubbing, it's going to tear up paint in there as well. So what I'm probably going to do is maybe reshape that, bring that point and kind of angle it in a little bit. That way it kind of misses it as you rock it back and forth when you're trying to pose this guy. You also have the ankle armor here, which will move up and down independently. And the full on side to side from the foot is not too bad. The front and back is definitely a lot better, but that gives you plenty of movement for any pose you might want to do with this guy. Now, I'm trying to think if there's anything I actually missed, because there's so much different stuff here and there. Well, I will say, when it comes to panel lines, this is the only thing I've noticed is this, or not panel lines, seam line, and they don't quite meet up. I don't know if that's just an issue of mine or if that's how it's supposed to be or what, but that's probably going to be something I'm going to cut out anyways and modify a little bit. I'm not going to try and remove that seam line. I'm going to modify and have a little bit of fun with it. But other than that, I have not noticed anywhere else of any type of seam line. And when really, to be honest with me, I wouldn't expect to find any at all anyways. It is a perfect grade. But of course there are limitations of what you can do with plastic model kits, so there's bound to be something sometimes. But as far as I can think, that is all the articulation. If I missed anything, feel free, if you have this kit and you know of something I missed, put it down in the comments for everybody else so, you know, they don't miss out on anything. But let me get this guy reassembled and we'll get to my final thoughts, and I'll show you all a few poses. So, as for my final thoughts on this guy, I love it. It has great part separation, great color separation, awesome articulation, and I mean, who doesn't like the Strike Gundam's design? I love the Strike Gundam and its many variants. I haven't got to watch Z, but I have seen most of the mobile suits, and a lot of the designs I do love. So, I mean, the only downside to this would be, one, the price. It is about 150 USD retail. And then the size. Not everybody has space for something this large. And you've seen from the Beyond Global I have for comparison, he's a pretty big boy. And then if you add on the Sky Grasper and L pack with this guy, there is a perfect gray version, which I will be doing a review on as well soon. It gets that much bigger. But I mean, it was a fun build. Nothing overly complicated. I mean, if you can build a high grade, if you can build a master grade, you can build this guy. You just need to take your time, pay attention to what you're doing, and enjoy yourself. I mean, these aren't speed builds. You get these kits to have fun and take your time building them. But I mean, the color separation on it, like the little bits of light gray with it and everything, are really nice. I mean, there's really nothing to complain about it. The only seam line there really is on the bottom section of the beam rifle, which is really an easy fix, and that little bit on the armor plate where it meets up on the front of the calf, and that's not that big of a deal either. I mean, but there's a lot of little gimmicks to this guy and everything, and then the add-on packs as well if you want to find those. There's also, you know, the sword pack and then the launcher pack as well. I wish I could remember the name of those. I should have looked it up before I done the video, but anyways. But this is a kit I highly recommend. I've heard it's a great start off for your first perfect grade or whatever, and I can't argue with it. I mean, it's a great one. I enjoyed myself, which I've probably said that 100 times now already. But I highly recommend it. If you got the space, you got the time, and you got the money for them, pick it up. You won't be disappointed. But until next time, guys, later.